So you don't just go around sleeping around, right? Unless you want to be like the bloodline of Cain and fall into sexual immorality, right? Where it's conquer, it's dominate, and it's I'm better than you, so I'm gonna prove it, right? And that's kind of that energy. Although, more or less, the agreed upon truth is that you ought to not have any sexual relations until you're married. And the reason why this is because it's a sacred bond, okay? And you're tying and mixing the DNA of the other being with yourself. And so it's a sacred act, right? A sacred exchange. And so it really is a preferred reality for those that choose to live that path, is to, right, wait till marriage. Basically, to wait till marriage. Is it something that a lot of people successfully achieve? Well, some better than others. Is it something that is commonly agreed upon by a lot of people in mainstream society? I would say definitely not. Considering that mainstream society in of itself, the perception of it has more to do with Hollywood and fame and fortune, and there's a lot of relationships that are about royalty, and they're about having more money and getting more followers, and you marry someone that's famous because you're also famous, and you're both going to make each other more famous and make more money and change more people's lives through that. Okay, that's on the higher levels. Okay, and for the typical average person, but just in reality, just overall, typically what the truth is, the actual truth is that you have one partner, and that's your husband or your wife, right? A man is with a woman, and that's a partnership, and then they have children. Okay, this is the truth of reality, and it's virtually always been this way to my awareness. And there might be slight deviations left and right from this truth, and people kind of experiment and explore from that straight line, and they deviate from that, and yet we all can come back to that straight line. That's the truth. That is the agreed upon truth. Obviously, we all know a man is with a woman, and then they get married, then they have a sacred exchange, and this makes a child or children. Okay, this is the agreed upon truth. So anything but that is what we would call free will. Okay, it's free will, it's deviations from the divine will, which is the truth, the direct, straightforward, straight line approach to relationships and marriage. Okay, that's the agreed upon truth. Why? And there's certainly various reasons why that's the case. Okay, if one man has 10 women, well, that's women that another man would not be able to choose as their wife, right? And so then you think about man and woman, okay? What about all these other different perspectives, okay? Woman with woman, man with man, right? And then you have all these other types of variables in there, and really the agreed upon thing to do is a man with a woman, you're married, and then you have children. Okay, and that's the point of the act. Okay, and so this is the truth. And let's not get too crazy out there, but let's realize this is the truth. And if you want to explore beyond that, certainly you have the free will to do so, although there may be consequences from that, okay, such as creating pain or suffering, okay, for you or for the other person or for anyone else involved. And typically, once someone is married, they're off limits. Okay, this is typically how it works. When someone gets married, they're now off limits. You've heard that quote, all is fair in love and war, right? All is fair in love and war. Well, okay, yeah. All is fair in love and war, and I would say until someone's married, okay, until someone's married, right? But then you get into, and this is even a deeper concept, when it comes down to war, if all is fair in war, that would exclude marriage also. And then that would make the war say, I don't care if you're married. And then because you have the history of kings or queens, being the target from the other country, and say we're going to take their, we're going to take their queen or king, and now, that's going to be a part of our war strategy. Let's get in the king's head by taking the queen. Let's try to see if we can take the queen, and it's like chess. It's really like chess. It's all connected, and so obviously, that's not the right thing to do, and I'm pretty sure we all know that, and I'm pretty sure that we've all learned from these last thousands and thousands of years that that's not the right way to do things. Pretty sure we've gotten to this overall perspective. Although, based on your background, based on how you grew up, and based around how what you experience in your own household may affect your own perception of what's supposed to happen and how you're supposed to live life. Because this is the truth of how you're supposed to live life, is typically you're supposed to be married and then you have children. Okay? And so that's just typically how it works. Left, right, up, down. From that, free will is doing that too soon, and there's pain and suffering, and that can be created from doing things out of order. Okay, so the point being is, when you do follow divine order, and you are in alignment with divine will, there is no suffering. Okay, because suffering comes from fragmentation and free will in false timelines, doing things out of order, and doing things for reasons that are not aligned with your heart and the truth of God in the universe. Okay? And so, although many may choose to take that path, it typically ends in suffering. And if the suffering gets too bad, they'll turn back to God, they'll come back to the path, divine will, and they'll practice divine order, and they'll do things in the right order. One with God. You do things in the right order. This is the key, guys. Divine order when it comes to relationships, and divine order when it comes to marriage, and divine order when it comes to sacred energy exchange. Okay? Divine order in the universe.